I've had an order of 24 maple trays come in. These are 7-inch trays. These are going to a specific retailer. 24 of them is the number that we can fit in a flat rate box. These are 10-foot boards of maple. Purchased them already planed down. Obviously I pay more for this. So that's the first step, is to break these down into 24-inch sections, and then we will go over the layout over at the CNC. So this is where I start every order. So this is you can see my layout on my bed. So I've got these 24-inch sections. I've got 3 trays being made out of each 24-inch section. These boxes represent the boards. So what I do is I measure the width of the boards. So if it's 7 inches, I'll change the height of these boxes to all 7 inches. And then what I'll do is I'll center all my trays on that 7 inches. It's important to center them because if you want the wiggle room. You don't want to be right up against the edge, because what will happen is this setup might be right, but if your height measurements are off, these trays could be off one side or the other of your stock. So it's really important to plan ahead of time and make sure these are accurate and leave yourself some wiggle room on either side. Okay, so with this stock width, I can only fit 4 boards on my CNC bed because the max is 30 inches. So it looks like I'll get 12 trays out of this one run. It looks like this will take about 3 hours to complete at the feeds and speeds. One thing I'll note is I run 2 passes. So I'll run a roughing pass and then I'll run a finish pass. The roughing pass will have larger step over, can remove material quicker, but it doesn't leave the nicest finish. And I'll come back with the finishing pass with a lower step over and get a nice smooth finish and literally have minimal sanding. We're ready to start, and I know I said approximately 3 hours, but actually Carbide Motion is saying just over 2 hours to complete all 3 of these tool paths. Let's get started. All right, so here is where we're at in the process. We basically got everything rough sanded to this point. So you saw me take them from the CNC to the bandsaw to cut out the tabs, and if the end mill didn't cut all the way through, which that has to do with my wasteboard being on level and it really needs to be replaced. But it's not a big deal to me because I've got to cut the tabs off anyway. So I just take them off of the bandsaw, zip them off. If you can see here, the flush trim bit does a fantastic job having a good flush trim bit. So that's why I don't worry about it not cutting all the way through, because I know I have to use the flush trim anyways. So if you notice, I haven't done any sanding to this point on this tray, and that is attributed to the tight step over pass, which gets it super clean. And then the outside, the flush trim bit, really taking your time. You saw me do this way and then flip it over and do it this way. And it's such a clean finish. So the next step is to take it over to the sander with some 220 grit sandpaper, touch up these corners a little bit and any imperfections. Once we do that, it's all about applying the finish. Okay, there's a little bit of a scenario here I want to explain or show you. So I've got a tray here. Everything is perfectly fine, perfectly sanded, but it's got a bar conclusion here that has a little bit of a crack. Well, I need to fill that crack. So what I do is I take some brown CA glue and I fill that crack. Now you want to be careful not to get too overfilled because you have to sand this smooth. So I just want to fill the crack and then sand it smooth. Sanding this concave area is kind of tricky because you can't get a lot of tools in there. What I found the best combination to get this smooth is hand sanding and some sanding stars over on the drill press. All right, I'm out here in the garage. This is where I apply all my finishes. Now I live in a part of the country here in Kentucky where it's not super cold, but it does get cold. So this is what I've come up with my setup after a bunch of trial and error. I've got my propane heater that I run ahead of time. That's obviously for safety precautions. I remove it when I'm actually applying the finish. We don't want any accidents here. You'll see my carbon monoxide detector here in the garage also. So I've taken all precautions to do this safely with the propane heater inside the garage. So I've heated the temperature up. You'll see it's 75 degrees. And that's important because we want the finish to dry properly and cure properly. So I've tried a few different application methods before this, and what I've settled on, the best finish for this application, for these trays, what looks the best, what holds up the best, is spray lacquer. Now, you might be asking why I don't use a spray gun. You've seen me use a spray gun to apply finish before. And although I've done that in the past, I'm not 100% comfortable yet with that application method and getting good results. So I know I can get good results with this, a little more expensive, but it is worth the extra money to me to get a guaranteed result. So I'll be applying 3 coats of this and I do not have to sand between. All right, that is my process. Well, other than packaging and shipping. So this is the 50th iteration of this tray process. I definitely did not start doing it this way. I've learned a lot over just the process. Obviously, I can make a wooden tray, but 1, what does the consumer want? 2, how does that change my processes and make it more efficient? So delivering a quality product in the most efficient way possible are my goals here. Now I know some of you probably would do something differently along the way, and I'd love to hear about that in the comments. Please let me know what works for you and if you have any experience doing something like this. If you're still watching and you haven't subscribed, make sure to help me out and hit that subscribe button. And don't go anywhere just yet. I picked out a special video just for you right here. I'll see you in the next video.